Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we'll return with round 17 of season 4 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live last week from Monza, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. It's safe to say tempers once again flared between myself and our teammate Charles Leclerc, but just a handful of races to go of the campaign. We are still with a shot at the Drivers' World title by the end of the year. Luckily for us, although we had a pretty bad weekend, so did Max Verstappen. So hopefully we have obviously still got our World Championship lead. We've got a 11-point buffer over the Dutchman. However, Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris are closing in rather rapidly at this stage of the season as well. So we've got to try and keep them at bay between now and the end of the campaign. Alonso took the win last time out in Italy. He hasn't finished lower than second since the British Grand Prix where he had a retirement. But yeah, in the last 4 Grand Prix, we've had 3 different winners as well. Lando Norris, still only the 1 win this season, but he has been very quietly consistent and is less than 50 points out as well at the top of the table. But big news for us though as well this weekend, because we've got a secret meeting with McLaren. Could we be alongside Lando Norris next year? I think that team is sensing that we are not happy with our current situation at Ferrari. Well, I don't know what they've put in Andreas Stella's cereal this morning, but he certainly seems very in-depth and ready to have a conversation with us. So that is what McLaren are offering. 49%, kind of control inside the team as well. Obviously, they're 3rd overall. They have got a better car performance than us. So I think we're going to complete talks with McLaren. Obviously, we won't make any contract decisions with them necessarily just yet. That'll have to wait to the end of the year. But McLaren are certainly a team, I think, they're another one. It's either them or Mercedes that I think we would like to bring back to the top of the Formula 1 world up next. And, it could be orange, it could be silver. Only time will tell. Let's head out onto the circuit here in Baku.
It is a truly unique layout. Welcome to Baku and welcome to qualifying.
Well, hindsight is a beautiful thing, and obviously on our brand new steering wheel, maybe Baku probably wasn't the best circuit to first race at inside F124. This place, arguably the toughest on the Formula 1 calendar, as Sergio Perez, that was not a legal entry into the pit lane, was definitely over that white line on the way in. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see as to what the stewards do about that one. But yeah, you join me in Q1, because this is also one of the AI's strongest tracks on the calendar. And obviously against the 110 AI as well. We haven't got much room to, kind of make errors or learn or anything this weekend. We really have kind of just chucked ourselves in at the deep end, as Lance Stroll is out of qualifying. He's only gone and binned it down the end of the back section of the Old Town. And of course, if you had to put your money on anyone, it was going to be Lance Stroll. That's one less car, I guess, we've got to beat this session. And a pretty competitive one at that. Oh, well, we just want to try and get this first lap as a banker on the board. Make sure we've got a delta to chase. We know the medium is a long way off the soft compound around this circuit. As, yeah, Ferrari, obviously, Charles Leclerc taking 4 pole positions in a row here in Baku in real life. It's a circuit that really does seem to suit the Ferrari car. Or at least Charles Leclerc's driving style as well. But up towards the start-finish line once again. Open up that DRS, use up the last remaining section of battery. We've got 38.3. We go slowest of all so far. But yeah, we'll probably find at least a second moving to softs. Well, Williams and Sauber are a long way off the pace of all the other runners. But it is Lance Stroll in that P15 position right now. So we need to find about a second just over. And we will see ourselves into Q2. Ultimately, yeah, the margins are incredibly tight around this circuit, but let's see, obviously, what we can do with a little bit of bravery, a little bit of confidence. I feel like I am learning this new wheel very well, but it is a very different experience to my other one. We've already found, though, 3/10 through the first 2 turns. That's a good way to start. Well, 6/10 up at the moment then as we make our way through the Old Town. This lap is definitely seen an improvement, but we've got to be brave. Oh, nudge the wall. So we make our way down in towards the final sector, and this is going to put us right on the cusp then Bit like we saw Lando Norris in real life. We got a little bit more battery in the tank as well as we make our way out the final corner, but we're only 3/4 of a second up at the moment. I don't think this is going to be enough to see ourselves into Q2, and this might be a huge disappointment for Ferrari here. 3/4 of a second up, will it be enough? I think we've ended up about P16, is it? Yes, it is. We narrowly miss out. And we are out in Q1. Well, there we go. Max Verstappen and his teammate Sergio Perez line up on the front row, at least in Q1. Carlos Sainz there in the V-Carb, doing a really good effort to make it a Red Bull 1-2-3. Charles Leclerc only down in P7. We, though, just miss out by, what's that, 0.2 of a second in the end to Daniel Ricciardo. So, gutted, so close to making it into Q2. And like I said, you know, we were struggling with the new equipment there just to try and get used to things. I think if we can survive this first weekend here in Baku, we probably should be pretty happy with ourselves.
Good afternoon and welcome from Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, and one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and Lance Stroll. Let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1, leading to a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And Fernando Alonso completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Perez, Norris, Gasly, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Stroll, Firestarter, Vesti, Albon, Behrman and Zhou Guanyu. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Well, anything can happen here in Baku, and it usually does. This track has delivered chaos and drama throughout every single season it's been on the Formula 1 calendar. But if you guys watched our My Team video a couple of weeks ago, we actually basically did the entire race on a set of the medium compounded tyre. So we're going to try and do that again today, open up strategy for ourselves later on in the afternoon. Of course, the AI are just so OP now over one lap on this game. They were very underpowered, and now they're very overpowered. When on earth they're going to find the balance with that, I will never know. But ready then on the grid for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, waiting on those 5 red lights. A mighty long hole, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go. They're struggling to put the power down in towards that first corner. Fred Vesti, we'll try and have a look down the outside, but we will just keep the car there. And I think the first goal is try and not lose any places on lap 1. In fact, we might be able to make up one on Daniel Ricciardo as well. As you can see, cars 2-3 wide just up in front. Everybody scrapping out, trying to make up places off the start. Everybody knows it's a good opportunity. There's Daniel Ricciardo in the second of the V-Carbs. I mean, we were comfortably down the inside as Lance Stroll doesn't quite spot us either. Tiny bit of contact with the Canadian, and that was very realistic for Lance. No awareness of anybody around him early on in the GP. I don't think, though, we've really got any proper damage from that, as we will once again try the move again on the Aston Martin. Well, I've just asked the team and they've reported no real damage on the car. And now, yeah, we've obviously made up that one spot then on the opening lap, but of course today is going to be about the DRS as well. They're obviously Red Bull right up towards the front of the order. I believe it's probably still Verstappen that will lead the way at the end of lap 1. And yeah, there we go, our main championship rival, just ahead of our second championship rival, because Fernando Alonso is in P2. Like I said, this is going to be a trial by fire today. I think we're going to need a bit of a miracle if we want to beat Max, but we've got to try and just get on with it, get the best result we possibly can, and make sure we lose out on as few points as we possibly can. We have still got a small buffer in the championship, but that could be all eroded today. We can already see on the minimap, our top kind of 5 cars, I think it is, have all bolted free at the front of the order. So I think it's one of the Mercs that is holding everyone up a little bit further behind. I will give it credit as well, though, this wheel. It does give me a lot of different detail that I've never really felt on F124. You know, you get a few more of the bumps, a few bits and pieces like that. I think they call it True Force, I want to say, on Logitech. It really does seem to be making a difference right now as Alonso, new fast lap of the day. 230 miles an hour for us, 235, 236. Oh, I think that's the fastest I've ever gone on this game. 236 miles an hour, and it felt like this car had a little bit more to give, as we will send it down the inside of Stroll down at turn 2. Try and get the power down on the exit there, give the Canadian a little bit of a squeeze, and we are now up into 40. No idea what's going on. I believe that must be Lando Norris then at the front of this little train of cars, and maybe he's just picked up a little bit of front wing damage. But everybody now caught up in a train behind him. I thought originally we had a Merc and a Haas fighting at the front of this group. It even looks like they're just starting to escape a little bit more as well there. So yeah, really not going well for the team that we might potentially sign with for next season. But again, we've got to try and utilise the straight line speed that this car's got available to it still. It's almost into the back of Sonoda up the top of the old town. See, we've got to get the power down though. We've definitely got some ponies in a straight line. This Ferrari power unit, yeah, certainly operates very, very nicely. So just trying to gather the car up off the corner as well. We've got to try and get a run on Yuki back down in towards turn 1 there, as Russell and Hulkenberg, you just see as well, jockeying right outside the top 10 positions. But yeah, once you get this thing in the slipstream, get it up into 8th gear there. I mean, even without the battery usage or the DRS, still see top times though into the 139s, as we're going to try and get a run on Yuki back down towards someone. He might get a run though on Hulkenberg in towards that first corner. We're going to go late on the brakes around the outside of the pair of them. We'll hang around the outside of our former teammate Nico Hulkenberg. Well, we never seemed to battle Nico Hulkenberg much when we were down at Haas, but yeah, now, ever since I left, he seems to have become a whole lot better inside this game. He's even had a few podiums this season. I was taking that first one. I don't even know what I pressed there. Apparently I pressed the rewind button. That was not what I intended to do. But yeah, as I was trying to say though... Oh, Russell's gone! George Russell's gone! Well, I guess that's going to be another freebie for us then. And we're up into P11 then of this GP. I mean, a safety car now would be fantastic, because I would just take a set of the hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. But Russell then, our first casualty of the afternoon, and one McLaren I think is wounded. And the other one, well, he's worse than that. Oh, no, Norris is gone. What on earth is going on now? We got a safety car. And both McLarens are gone then. Well, on the weekend where McLaren are trying to sign ourselves and both of their drivers feeling the pressure, a mechanical failure for George Russell, and then a lock-up into the wall for Lando Norris is not what they needed. We are going to take that chance, though, to box onto a set of hards, and hopefully we'll get those to the end of the race. Well, I don't know whether we're going to see anybody else. Yes, they are. Everybody's going to come into the pit lane, but I want to experience what the new force feedback effects are like as well with this steering wheel inside the pit lane here. So we'll try and just get the car slowed down. That feels very, very odd, first of all. But yeah, as we try and make sure that we get a nice, clean, tidy pit stop. I mean, that is quite cool. You can feel the wheels going on different parts. Come on, we want to go. I got to remember my clutch. I've now got it mapped, so I've actually got a proper foot clutch finally inside this game there. But we are going to re-emerge then, I believe, just outside the points. Yeah, we're down to P11. Annoyingly, everybody else seems to have had the same idea as we had. Well, safety car coming in then at the end of lap 8, so it hasn't even been a particularly long one in this race either. So for everybody else, it is just going to be about trying to stay out the walls towards the end of the afternoon. Make sure you nurse your tyres and try to see them through to the checkered flag. As Max Verstappen, I believe it is. No, it's Alonso, sorry. Will get to unleash the pace wherever he feels like. We need to try and go for the move immediately on Hulkenberg. And we maybe have got the jump on him. Come on, Hulkenberg. You've got to try and keep up with the rest of the group. And look at that. We timed it beautifully. Back down in towards turn 1. Not only down the inside of Hulkenberg, but also down the 7-time world champion in Lewis Hamilton. Little snap of oversteer, though, off the exit of the corner. as we struggle just to get these hards up to pace. You can just see there again, lacking that ultimate confidence in the car. Lance Stroll trying to look around the outside. Again, though, we just don't want to lose spots off of restarts here. So try and get back down the inside. Oh, the Aston Martin there a little bit deep into the next corner. But we live to fight for another day. Well, I think Verstappen is starting to struggle then, because now we've got both our teammate Fernando Alonso and even one of the Mercs now ahead of the Red Bull man. So is Verstappen, our big championship rival, running into problems here? And could Alonso be the one to capitalise on all of that? I mean, I think someone might have front wing damage. I mean, looking at that train, that might genuinely be Verstappen.
Push, push. We can't let them hold us up for too long, so let's try and get past as soon as possible and crack on. Push, push.
And on the weekend where we look set to struggle, maybe Verstappen, I mean, Baku, this place is unpredictable. It can be tricky. So that is a big dive down the inside of Hulkenberg.
Nice work. That's why I love working with you. Smashed it.
Well, Mark there hyping us up on that one, and who can blame him? That was a very aggressive dive bomb on Hulkenberg, but we got it stopped. There was no contact, and we are back into the points. Well, next up then, Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. We know that thing isn't as quick in a straight line. So we'll approach 230 miles an hour. Can we have a look around the outside of our fellow Brit? Yes, we can. Get the car slowed down there. Get round the outside. Luckily, Lewis is a fair and respectful racer. Gives me the room. We're up to 9th. Well, I think if things were to finish like this at this current stage of the Grand Prix, it would actually be Alonso that takes the World Championship lead at the front of the order. Of course, yeah, the Spaniard out in front, and Leclerc still hasn't won a race since the season opener in Bahrain. He seems to be the only person that can even keep up with him. Ferrari, the car pace this weekend does seem to be a little bit better once more. Of course, the man that used to drive this Ferrari car all the way back in season 1, Carlos Sainz, now looking to try and defend his position from us. That V-carb, though, was really operating quite well at the hands of the Spaniard this weekend. But you just see as he has to start saving some of his battery, we are going to be able to capitalise once more there. And again, 1AI will go a bit defensive. Esteban Ocon still sat on the racing line. And once more, we'll go around the outside down at turn 1. The confidence is getting there. Oh, Gasly's gone. Gasly's gone for a spin. The Haas driver there making a little error. And we got a red flag. No. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Like I said, I think Verstappen was struggling with some damage, so he's going to get that repaired. And now everybody's strategy reset again. Well, we're going to have to restart this one then on the medium compounded tyre, but it is just chaos so far in Baku this afternoon. Yeah, those mediums should safely get to the end.
There's a good opportunity to get this start spot on. Come on.
5 red lights. It's going to be lights out, and away we go yet again then as Alonso will try and cover off from our teammate down in towards turn 1. We will try and cover off from Carlos Sainz there through the first corner. Ocon now trying to look around the outside of Oscar Piastri's. Yeah, that has given Red Bull and Max Verstappen a bit of a lifeline back into this GP. But we will defend from the Spaniard there, who for whatever reason has opted for hard compound tyres off of this restart. So I'm guessing, well, maybe he was struggling on his tyres there as Ocon, again, will really squeeze Oscar Piastri. These two could have been teammates in Formula 1. But in this alternate timeline, their paths have never really crossed. And yeah, Oscar Piastri, though, in that Mercedes, he seems to have settled himself in fairly comfortably so far in this Grand Prix. Let's try and have a look down the inside, though. Oh, just barely kept it out the wall, and I think Oscar just backed out behind. Oh, looking at the Delta times, luckily, yeah, I think we might have been a bit too aggressive there with Oscar Piastri. Lance Stroll was able to make the move happen as well, but he didn't pick up any front wing damage, and that's the important bit. That Merc still looking fairly competitive here as now Stroll trying to line up a move on me. So we've got Aston Martin and Ferrari at the front. Aston Martin and Ferrari a little way further back as well.
Now enabled. Right, the gap to the teammate ahead of us. 2.6 seconds.
I'm trying to remember what the gap is to Alonso in the championship. It's either 16 or 19 points. Either way, if he wins this thing, it's going to be mighty close in the World Championship. Well, Esteban Ocon, he deserved a big haul of points last weekend at Monza. Never quite happened for him. Fortunately, things pretty much out of his control late on in the afternoon ruined any hopes. So we're just again grazing the wall to make our way down the hill there. You've got to be so careful. Avoid those barriers as best as we can, but Even if you rub up against them there, avoid picking up front wing damage. If you just tip the steering wheel in a little bit more, the tyre will hit the wall, and the front wing hopefully won't. As you can see, again, Leclerc, I think, is going to try and line up a move on Fernando Alonso. I mean, it'd be useful for our championship hopes if Leclerc can slow up both Alonso and Verstappen. Although, that being said, we're not a million miles away now from either of them here. We have very quickly moved our way up the order this afternoon. Or 10 laps to go then, and we are still right within blinking distance of the race lead here. Let's try and see if we can move up into P5 ahead of Esteban Ocon again. Speeds in excess of 230 miles an hour. New fastest lap. As we try and make a move on the Frenchman, our teammate, trying to make a move on Fernando Alonso at the front of the order. Ocon, he doesn't want to back out of that. We'll have to give him a little bit of a squeeze through turn 2. And we will get around the outside again then. And now up into P5 of this GP. I've got no idea how many moves we've made around the outside today. But it is working well for us. And somehow, I never thought, to be honest, at the start of this, we'd get back here as we've got yellows out again. Who's binned it now behind us? I think Stroll's gone. Are we going to get yet another safety car or a red flag or something in this race? I think, well, ultimately, yeah, the race stewards have kind of given up. It's Baku, isn't it, at the end of the day? I think they just all want to go home. Well, I think Alonso has just got the legs on Charles Leclerc at this stage of the afternoon. I'm getting worried that our teammate might just soon drop out of the DRS window of the Aston Martin there. It's Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari, following the two-time world champion. I mean, if Alonso genuinely makes it 3 world titles by the end of this year, it will be one of the greatest ever comeback stories in Formula 1. As you can see, Perez now trying to go defensive on me.
The gap on the car behind by 0.5 a lap.
Many have tried before you so far this Grand Prix, Sergio, and many have failed. Up into P4, and this was a man I never really thought I'd see this afternoon. But we are going to battle with him in the final few laps of this Grand Prix. Well, I think I've worked out why then Alonso seems to have the pace over Leclerc and Verstappen. They're both on hards. Why on earth, for only half a Grand Prix after we've all already used a set of the hard compound tyre, would both Leclerc and Verstappen opt to run with them again? Did they have more confidence with them? Did they feel like they had more pace in the car? Either way, that might explain why, yeah, they've been able to keep in his range. They haven't really been able to do anything against Alonso over the last few laps, as now you can see we're going to use all of our straight line speed to close in on Verstappen there, and Leclerc was out of the DRS range. You can see our teammate's rear wing was not open back down in towards turn 1, so Alonso, he might be able to do this. He might be able to get away here, and it might well be that we are the only car that can really battle with him towards the end. Of course, on the other side of that, those hard tyres start getting a little bit stronger. He might not, yeah, I mean, Alonso and I both might start to struggle. This has got to be one of the weirdest races I've ever had in F1 24. Oh, Stroll's gone. Stroll is gone from this Grand Prix then. Late on in the day, I don't know whether that's been a mechanical failure or another error by the Canadian, but a weekend to forget, and whilst his teammate dominates... Yeah, Alonso's gone now. Alonso is absolutely gone, so we need to try and use all of our battery. It might still be that Aston Martin don't walk away with the most points from this weekend. As you can see, Verstappen having to just start saving some ERS again. And then remembers that he's going to be under pressure from me there. 234, 235. As I was only planning on going around the outside of one, but we tried on the other. I mean, you can just see there, yeah, Alonso is barely over the 1 second mark. Verstappen will fling it back down our inside down to turn 2. Won't be able to make it happen there, and from 16th place on the grid, we are ahead of our main championship rival once more, but I want to try and beat both of them. Well, I'm so confused. Alonso's on hards as well. Why are they all on hard compound tyres towards the end of this Grand Prix? It makes absolutely zero sense to me as to what the AI strategy has been this afternoon, but I tell you what, it has opened up the race back for us. It has given us a window back in. And we know at this stage of the campaign, we cannot afford to waste opportunity. Every single chance you get between now and the end of the season, we have got to capitalise on. As Charles Leclerc again, a bit wide there by myself, down at the end of Sector 2 as well. The tyre warning light just flashes up. As long as we don't keep doing that, though, that shouldn't be much of a concern. I know I've mentioned it before. There's a weird kind of exploit with the tyre wear inside this game. Of course, it basically works out your tyre wear based on the outside of the wheel, but also inside the game still behind the scenes, it then won't wear the tyre anymore until it would have caught up to where it's now worn. It's very, very weird, but basically it shows you a different number to the one it saves. As right on the outside of Leclerc we go, and we're now in the range of Alonso with 5 laps left. This might end up almost accidentally being one of my greatest ever drives on this game, if we can win. I mean, now we've got to try and play this race like a bit more of a chess match, because if I get round Alonso, he will likely just be able to come back at me once again. I also don't know whether it's worth trying to keep Leclerc in the range late on, or kind of feed him to the Wolves, being the Red Bull team a little bit further behind there. But again, just see that Aston Martin is not particularly quick in a straight line anyway. So as we try and use the DRS in towards that first corner, to the outside of Alonso for the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Just under 4 laps to go, and we will out-traction him off of turn 1 there. Fernando will use some battery in towards turn 2, will bobble over the curb there, try to give me the room on the exit of the corner. We will tuck back into the slipstream though once again, and to the outside once more of one of our other main championship rivals right now. Whoa, we just about get it hooked up there the long way around, and up finally into the lead we will go with this Grand Prix. And I'll be honest, at the start of the weekend, that was not what I thought we were going to be seeing. I don't know whether Alonso just grazed the wall or not down at turn 3 there. He seems to be dropping back. I think he did. I think Alonso might have just nudged the wall, and that might leave him very vulnerable to Leclerc. Could Ferrari be on for a 1-2? Well, I don't think it was front wing damage. I just think that's the difference between the mediums and the hard compound tyre at this stage of the day, because Alonso now is going to hunt me back down in towards turn 1. But yeah, that Aston Martin, I mean, we're barely doing 200 miles an hour, and he still can't get to me by the time we get to that first corner. As long as I don't waste the battery around the rest of the lap or make a mistake somewhere, I don't think Alonso's got enough to come back past us. That Aston Martin car, way too focused on its cornering potential. Somehow it's led most of this race, and obviously dominated most of the weekend as well with McLaren last time round at Monza. That here right now, I don't think Alonso can get me. Oh, I maybe spoke too soon. I might have just got a little bit optimistic there. Alonso, I think, maybe played dead so he could try and come back at me, as that's exactly what he's going to do. Back down the inside goes the Spaniard, I believe. He'll have the DRS as well, up over the start-finish line. Again, though, I'd rather just fight with him, as here comes Charles as well. Maybe those hard compound tyres getting more grippy again, as Leclerc definitely had more braking performance. We hang on to P2, though, and after the tempers flared last weekend, if we dare make more contact with him and I deem it's Leclerc's fault, I will not be happy. One more lap to go then here from Baku, and I don't know what we should do at the moment. Do we wait for the last lap to try and get the run on Alonso, or do I just try and claim track position now? I think we've just got to claim the position, because I've been known in many years to be a bit of a bottle job around this venue. That, and also the fact I didn't get back past him until gone the start-finish line there, makes me think that, yeah, we made the right choice. And now it would just be a question of defending on this last lap of the Grand Prix. Leclerc, he is still waiting in the wings as well. If anything's to happen between two of your championship top runners, Verstappen and Red Bull, they've been there or thereabouts all weekend, but just have ultimately lacked the race pace come the end of the Grand Prix. And Sergio Perez, going to be a good return to form for him this weekend. He loves this Azerbaijan circuit, as always. Ran well around here as well. But on the last lap of this Grand Prix, like I said, I thought this weekend was going to be a trial by fire, but we have built confidence up in the car, in the all-new setup, and as we make our way in towards the final few turns, don't hit the wall, please, now. I cannot make a mistake down through the castle section on this last lap. We can control the pace through some of the corners. I just want to save as much battery as we can, ready for the start-finish straight here. Alonso, he is still breathing down my neck as we make our way into the final sector of the Grand Prix. Will it be the Spaniard from P2 on the grid? Will it be us from 16th place on the grid? Out of the final proper corner of this Grand Prix, it is still anybody's guess, because Alonso, he will try to use the battery. We're going to have to use all of ours as well there, and maybe if he gets the DRS as well. I mean, surely he will, but will he have enough? Alonso, he's not dropping back from us. This is going to be so close up towards the line. I think we've done it, though. Alonso's not got enough. That is P1.
Yes, guys, yes! Come on, boys!
You always look back at a race like this and think, if I had just made that mistake there or locked up here, there would have been contact. And every one of those overtakes is a moment where you have to absolutely nail it, perfect it, and that's exactly what they're able to do today. Great stuff indeed.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Well, there we are then. Like I said, I genuinely never expected this result by the end of qualifying there. We were out in Q1, but from 16th on the grid, after safety cars, red flags, and everything else that happens, we steal the victory and the full 26 points to accompany it there. Alonso in P2 ahead of Leclerc with both Red Bulls in 4th and 5th. Ocon beats out both Haas cars with Carlos Sainz and Ollie Behrman for the 2nd year in a row inside this series. Behrman will get points as well in Baku. Further down the order, Stroll, Russell and Lando Norris all failed to see the checkered flag. Lewis Hamilton must have picked up some damage as well towards the end, as well as Oscar Piastri. 15th and 16th for those two is a pretty disappointing result. They're allowing a lot of the smaller teams to get some points as well there. It means in the in the drivers' table though, Leclerc re-jumps Norris. Alonso now jumps Verstappen, but we have almost got a race win buffer at the top of the table as well there. Constructors-wise, we pull away a little bit from Aston Martin as well. That gap now up to 38 points. But yeah, what can we say? The perfect weekend for us when all is said and done. And what a way to start with the new Logitech steering wheel as well, it would appear. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Singapore.